This was a relationship that tore me apart. He started a family with someone else. I feel like something is wrong with me. I didn't want to be the good girl anymore. My name is Sade and welcome to the Recognizable Wife podcast. This is a place for women of faith who desire marriage, and you are ready to live the life that you've been praying for. It is time to bridge the gap between faith and strategy in your love life. I would consider myself a good girl at one point. I grew up in the church and I needed my parents' approval for everything. As a child, you want to have your parents' approval. But as you get older and as an adult and you take that good girl mindset over into relationships, that isn't so good. In my teen years, I made a promise to God that I would keep myself until marriage. And when I made that promise at the time, I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. Piece of cake, piece of pie. It's going to be easy. No problem at all. And then I got in my first relationship in the 12th grade of high school. And I realized that, oh my goodness, this isn't going to be so easy. And that relationship went over into my freshman year of college. And I was head over heels in that relationship. I took that good girl mindset that I had into that relationship. And he was a church boy with a rough side. And in my mind, I said, all he needed was a good girl and things will change. That was the biggest lie I had ever told myself. He was out there doing his thing and trying to pacify me at the same time. And me being the good girl at that time that I stayed because I said things will change. That was the first heartbreak I had ever experienced. And things began to go in a downward spiral when it came to relationships. Yes, I'm still practicing abstinence at this point, and I am starting to question who I was. I was starting to compare myself to other people, and I was a little confused. So in my senior year of college, I got into another relationship, and I was thinking that abstinence would be the thing that would help me to meet a good guy and that would lead to marriage. And man, it was a reality check for me. This was a relationship that tore me apart. So the guy that I was talking to at that time, he started a family with someone else and they had twins. He did not have the nerve to tell me what was going on and he just left. I had no clue what was going on. And I ended up finding out about what happened from his mom. And I thought this was going to be the guy that I would marry because he was talking to my dad about marriage. And I was like, yes, this is going to be it. And so finding out that he had started a family with someone else and he was going to marry her literally broke me. And I remember crying to my mom several times. And I don't think my dad knows everything that happened. Well, if he watches this video, he knows now, Dad, this is what happened. And one day coming from church, I literally poured my heart out to my mom. And I told my mom that I feel like something is wrong with me. I really feel like something is wrong with me and I don't feel like I'm enough. And it felt like I would never meet anyone who would want to be in a relationship with someone who is abstinent. And I really started to compare myself big time to other people and I started to question who I was, and it was really a dark place. And so I built a top-notch security system, around my heart because I was scared. I didn't want to get hurt again. I didn't want to feel this pain that I was feeling on the inside. And I definitely could not trust myself and I could not trust my abilities to be able to choose the right person to be in a relationship with. And I even thought about giving up on abstinence because I was comparing myself just that much to other people and feeling like I was losing and they were winning. And I'm like, okay, what's the point of doing all this? Like, what is the point? I don't see the point in all of this. And when it came to dating advice and relationship advice, especially in the church, the only thing that was said was wait on God, wait on God. And then the world is saying you got to test drive before you buy. You got to see that you are sexually compatible and all these things. And I knew that I was like, okay, something is missing. Something is missing. I don't know what it is, but something's missing. And so I picked between the world's way or just the church way, waiting on God, right? And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to wait on God. I'm going to wait. That's it. Because apparently I'm doing something wrong and it's not working. So I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait. I also didn't want to be the good girl anymore. And I was tired of feeling dead on the inside. I didn't want to attach my worth and my identity to having a relationship anymore. I was just sick and tired of it. And I wanted real happiness. I wanted to be happy with me. I wanted to be this woman that, she just got her life together, right? I wanted to be her. I wanted to really be happy, like pure happiness, pure joy. So I asked God to help heal my heart. And I told him that if he did that for me, that I would help other women who were in the mind trap of feeling like having a relationship makes you valuable and makes you worthy. Like I would help other women get free from that mind trap. And this was the beginning of a transformation for me. And I didn't have anyone to talk to. As a woman who is practicing abstinence and waiting until marriage, I didn't have anyone that I could talk to and who could relate to what I was going through. And even in the church, I didn't have anyone that I could talk to. When I say anyone I could talk to, I mean outside of my mom and my sister. But I didn't have any other, I didn't have any other community that I could really talk with and share how I was feeling without feeling like I was being judged for feeling the way that I felt. And I learned that I needed to prepare and position if marriage was something that I desired. I remember looking at married couples in the church, and I would look at the wives and I would look at how they would act with their husbands. And some of the actions that I saw, I was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be that type of wife because it was disrespectful. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to be that type of wife to my husband. I want my husband to enjoy coming home. I really want the type of marriage that not only honors God, but is an example for our children. I started to do a lot of self-evaluations and started looking at the things that I didn't really like about myself, especially being the good girl. I didn't want to be the good girl anymore. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I got to do something about this. The good girl mindset, mentality in relationships, it doesn't work. And one thing I did was spend a lot of time with myself. I did a few staycations, and that was quality time that I was able to spend with me, myself, and and really just sit with me and learn who I was. I also got closer to God during this time, and I finally got to a place in God, and I got to a space within myself that I was ready to date and I was ready to meet someone. And I remember sharing this with my mom, and she told me, well, how can you meet someone with no one knows you exist? And when she told me this, I was like, okay, I think I should wait on God, because if I do anything else, I might be seen as fast or I might be seen as fresh. I don't want to be seen as that. Like, I don't want people looking at me side eye saying, oh my goodness, look at her. Look, like, I didn't want that, right? But here's the real truth. I didn't trust myself enough to be able to make the right decision when it came to choosing someone for marriage. I felt like I would mess up again, right? Because of my track record, I felt like I would just choose wrong again. And then my mom said that a man is not going to fall out of the sky. The relationship you want, the marriage you want, isn't going to fall out of the sky. And she also said that if she could make me a man, she would. And I realized that I needed to position myself, and I wanted to position myself in a way that honored God and did not put me in a category as being desperate and thirsty, right? I still wanted to honor God. And all this time, I'm still practicing abstinence. And I was doing well in my career, right? Things were doing good in that area. And I realized that the same way I had a strategy in my career, I needed to have a strategy for my love life. Now, the strategy that I used in my career, it wasn't going to be the same for my love life, but I realized that I needed a strategy for my love life. And I wanted to be a wife, a mom, and an entrepreneur. Like, That was the life that I envisioned for myself. I wanted to be able to work the hours that I want to work and still be present in the home. And I could really envision myself living that life. And so I learned how to position myself in a way that I was able to show interest and still honor God. And I was able to meet my husband. And shortly after, 9 months later, after meeting, we got married. Now I am a stay-at-home wife and I am walking in entrepreneurship. And in the future, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. And this is the life that I envisioned for myself. And the beautiful thing is that God was with me the whole way. This is why I want to help women who desire marriage prepare and position for marriage, and also have the life that you want. Having the married life you want and the lifestyle you want doesn't have to be just something you pray for, but it can actually happen. One of the things that really icks me is that when people say, well, marriage isn't a promise. No, it isn't written in His word that marriage is a promise to those who desire marriage. However, He will give you the desires of your heart, and He created marriage. Just like you have desires for other things in your life when it comes to going to a specific college or having a certain career, you have that desire and it happens. Your love life isn't any different. So I want to hear from you. Let me know down below in the comment section why now is the time to have the life that you want. And yes, this does include your love life.